bang. Me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to the command post. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I, of course, am your commander-in-chief, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. So today I wanted to come with a reaction video to the video and poll that I posted on Saturday afternoon. And I told you we would come back and react to the findings of that poll. And I first want to thank each and every single one of you who participated in this exercise. This is by far and away the most participation that I've gotten in anything like this that I've done. And so I first want to thank all of you for making that possible. You guys not only watched the video, but you also participated and made this exercise worth doing. So first of all of you guys, round of applause. All right. That's why I love y'all. That's why I rock with y'all. All right. So now I want to get into what you guys have said. Essentially, you've spoken. Let's take a look at the poll. Over 2,000 of you voted. Huge turnout. This is a good sample size. Okay. And then we still had another 70 something. I think it was 50 to 60 comments on the poll. And then another 120 something in the comment section of the video. So you guys showed up and you showed out, and I can't thank you enough for that. So let's get to the actual poll itself. Over 2,000 votes in this poll, which is a healthy amount. Okay. So now we can kind of look at these numbers and see what you guys feel. So the four choices were 5 if you count none of the above. And a lot of you added in a 6th choice, which was all of the above, which I didn't think many of you would be willing to do. So again, it's not my job to determine what answers you guys would or wouldn't select. I just need to give you the option, and I failed to give you the option of all of the above. So that's on me. That's my fault, because I just didn't think all of these things would happen in one season for Washington. So, but that doesn't mean you don't. And that's why it's not fair for me to take that option away from you. So I apologize for that. I'll make sure that the next time, and obviously YouTube limits me to only 4 options. So I wasn't able to put none of the above or all of the above, but you could leave it down in the comment section. And a lot of you did. So the 4 choices that were on the poll: Sam Howell throws 25 touchdown passes or more, but 25 is the magic number. Emmanuel Forbes either has 3 interceptions with a pick 6 being one of them, or 4 INTs on the season. Your 3rd choice was either Chase Young or Montez Sweat eclipses 10 sacks on the season. So essentially 11 or more sacks for either one of those guys. Doesn't have to be both of them, just one of them. And then the final choice was the Commanders win 10 or more games. Haven't done that since 2012. Haven't won more than 10 games since 1991. You're probably tired of hearing that. Another thing that you're probably going to get sick and tired of hearing, and I'm already sick and tired of hearing it or seeing it, because they put it on the little chyron for the draft 50 million times, is haven't won a playoff game since 2005. And if we aren't careful, what's ultimately going to happen is that we'll be one of the teams with the longest playoff drought in terms of victories if we don't win a game here shortly, because the Jets haven't been to the playoffs since 2010. I think that's the longest drought in the NFL currently, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to think when those Rex Ryan teams were in the playoffs. I think it was right around that 2010 area, you know. So everyone thinks they're going to make the playoffs with Aaron Rodgers this year. And if they make the playoffs, there's probably a good chance that they're going to win a game. So you start erasing names off that list. You know, the Raiders find a way to make it to the playoffs and win a game. And all of a sudden, because the Raiders haven't won a playoff game since '02. So I think they might have the longest drought in the league right now. I'm trying to think about Detroit. It's probably been a long time since the Lions have won a playoff game. But whatever the case may be, because I don't think Matthew Stafford ever won a playoff game in Detroit. So it's probably been a while for them too. But I just don't want my name to be, our name to be in that list. So it'd be nice to go ahead and get to the playoffs and not only get there, but win a game while we're there. So anyway, looking at the choices, you guys spoke loud and clear with your decision. 42% of you selected Sam Howell throws 25 touchdown passes. And a lot of what you said in the comment section dealt with the weapons that he's going to have at his disposal. Also, Eric Bieniemy being on board is going to help. I think a lot of you also think he's going to have a ton of opportunities because the defense is going to create turnovers this year, shorten the field, give them more scoring opportunities, more opportunities for Sam to throw touchdown passes. What I don't want you guys to forget is that Sam is very prolific with his legs in the red zone, as we saw against Dallas. That's going to be a huge part of what they do in the red zone as well, and that's going to take away from opportunities for him to throw touchdown passes. But nonetheless, you guys seem to be very, very confident in Sam's ability to push it into the end zone 25 times or more in the upcoming season, and hence 42% of you voted in that direction. That was the most by 17%. Coming in second was 90 or 99 with 11 or more sacks. So Chase Young or Montez Sweat with 11 sacks or more on the season. 25% of you went in that direction. That was second. Third, with 20%, was Emmanuel Forbes, the rookie first-round pick corner out of Mississippi State, coming in and absolutely having himself a ball in his rookie season. 3 picks and a pick 6, or 4 INTs in his rookie season. You guys seem to think that he's going to come in and have an immediate impact on this secondary, and hence 20% of you went with that option. And then lastly, which is somewhat disturbing, but I get it, I wouldn't have selected this one either. So Commanders win 10 or more games came in dead last with 13%. And I don't think that it's in dead last with 13% because you don't think it's going to happen. You were supposed to choose the thing that you thought was more likely to happen or most likely to occur. And so while you may think the Commanders will win 10 or more games this season, you might think Sam Howell throwing 25 touchdown passes is more likely, so you chose that one. Or you thought that 90 or 99 would end up with 11 or more sacks, so you chose that one instead, which is what the exercise was asking you to do. So Commanders win 10 or more games, 13%, dead last. Remember, over 2,000 votes, so this is a nice size, sample size, rather. A nice sample size of, what you think is going to happen. Personally, if I had to make a decision, if I had to vote in this poll, I would have selected the option with Chase Young and Montez Sweat, because the likelihood is one of these guys is going to finally break through. My money's on Montez Sweat, personally. Don't know what we're going to get out of Chase Young. Don't know, he's healthy physically, mentally. Don't know where he's going to be. And also, don't know how much explosion you're going to get from him post-surgery, only having played in 3 games to finish up the season? San Francisco, Cleveland, and Dallas. So I'm not sure what to expect from him. I know what I'm getting out of Montez Sweat, and this could be the year that he finally breaks through. So I expect one of those guys to have a massive season. Be great if both of them could, but I don't see both of them doing it. I just see one of them doing it. and that one guy is Montez Sweat. It's a contract year for both of them. That's why I expect the best that they've got, and I expect that to come with double digits. So that would have been the option I would have gone with. I think it's going to be tough for Emmanuel Forbes to pick it off, 3 or 4 times, let alone one going to the crib. But as some of you pointed out, he's going to be tested. He's a rookie. These quarterbacks in the league don't respect him right out of the gate. They're going to test him to see if he's legit. If he proves to be that, they'll leave him alone. He'll get less targets, and it'll be harder for him to accomplish those numbers. If he seems like a liability early, they're going to continue to go his way. So, the biggest thing is you got to make them pay. You pick off quarterbacks, and then the league takes notice, and then you get less targets your way. So we'll see what Forbes is able to do. Howell throwing for 25 touchdown passes, very conceivable, but I still think it's highly unlikely because of one, he's essentially a rookie. He's going to be a first-year starter. 2, it's just tough in this league to throw a bunch of touchdown passes for anybody, let alone a first-year starter in his second offense in as many years. 3, he's also a threat to run in the red zone, and I think we're going to be more of a running threat in the red zone, which is, if you really want to score a bunch of points, that's what you want. You want balance in the red zone. You want the ability to run it in. The best red zone offenses, the most efficient red zone offenses, are the ones that can run the football in the red zone. So I think his legs are going to open up some opportunities for some of these backs to get into the end zone, but also his legs in general are going to be a threat. And I think that's going, just like Jalen Hurts, he only had 22 or 23 passing touchdowns last year, but that was because he was such a threat in the red zone as a runner that he scored 14 or 15 rushing touchdowns or whatever that number was, because that he was so dynamic in that regard that they had to take advantage of that. And of course, his passing touchdowns suffered, and it came at the expense of those. So I think you're going to see a little bit of that with Sam, that some of his passing touchdown numbers will suffer because of his ability. I don't really give a shit how we score. I don't care if Sam throws, 25 touchdown passes. He could throw 18. As long as that interception number is low and we're scoring touchdowns, whether he's handing them off, whether he's running them himself or he's throwing it, or they have a trick play where, the running back is throwing it or the receiver's throwing a touchdown pass. I don't give a shit. I just want to score. So we'll see if Sam can throw 25 touchdown passes. He's going to have the weaponry. If we're healthy and the offensive line is doing their job, he'll have opportunities. That's for sure. Wanted to read a couple of your responses. I don't want to get into too many of them because we'll be here all day. You guys really participated in this one. But I'm going to read a couple of them. So at DD Slice, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, writes, I'll vote, but here's my order from most likely to least. He says, 1, Efo will actually have at least 5 interceptions with a touchdown. So that's a big number, man. 5 interceptions and a residence call as well. That's huge if he can do that in his rookie season. 2, Sam Howell will throw for 25 touchdowns with 12 picks. Too many weapons / first-year starter. So he's got too many weapons to not throw for the 25, but he also is a first-year starter, so the 12 picks come into play. Young and Sweat will each have 12 and 11 sacks respectively. So in this particular comment, Young will have 12, Sweat will have 11, mainly due to the play of an angry secondary. So the secondary forcing quarterbacks to hold on to the ball longer allows for the pressure to hit home. And both of those ends, in a contract season, I may add, are the biggest beneficiaries. Number 4, the Commanders will win 10 games probably, but no more. Why? Because that's who we are. Just frustrating enough to win double-digit games, but still miss the playoffs. That would be really disheartening if we won 10 games and didn't make the playoffs. Like, I would be so distraught if we got to double digits and didn't make the playoffs. That would hurt pretty bad. Brandon Houndshell 7132 writes, How comes close? Forbes picks off 5 times, 4 in our own division. That would be huge if he could get 5 picks, but 4, more importantly, 4 in the division. Chase Young fires back with 14 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and 1 pick 6. Montez Sweat has a slow year, and we let him walk instead and sign Chase to a big boy deal. We go to the playoffs with 10 wins. That'd be great. Once again. All right. Here's another one. This one is from Billy Salser, 1062. It says, winning 10 or more. So he's got us winning 10 or more games. Art Lions 4527 says, I think they'll all happen. So that's a great segue. So I went in the poll comments and pulled out all of the aboves or none of the aboves and tallied those. And at first blush, I thought that there were just this ridiculous amount of all of the aboves. It felt like everybody was super optimistic, and you're going to get that this time of the year. So I thought that's what we were getting. And then it turns out that it was pretty split. It was equal. 5 all of the aboves, 5 none of the aboves. So, and I think 2 of the none of the aboves were non-Washington fans. So I was actually surprised at how optimistic some of you guys were, but this is the time of year that you get that. And I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to be pretty optimistic probably when it's all said and done, especially after we get the schedule. If it's a favorable schedule in my mind, whatever that means, whatever I deem favorable, I'm going to start to get optimistic and start talking crazy more likely than not. If it's a tough schedule and I'm like, oh man, this is brutal, then I may start talking with a little bit of sense. But let this schedule be one that I feel like is advantageous to us. Like last year, that's when I start talking reckless. And now that I believe in the quarterback position, unlike the last 2 seasons, even though last year I thought we had a shot with Carson, I'm not going to sit here and have revisionist history. I thought Carson could do what he did in Indy the year prior, 27-7. I said if he could just duplicate that, nothing more, nothing less, just do that, we'll be a playoff team. And I really think he was well on his way. 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions in the first 2 weeks of the season. If we would have protected him, I think there would have been a chance that he would have put up some gaudy numbers. But clearly, once that protection broke down, so did he mentally, and that was the end of that. So, L Monique 86 says, Sweat with 11 sacks sounds about right. Double-digit wins would be my wish. So, Straight Edge writes, and first of all, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, writes, I would take F, all of the above. However, I think with our division, the AFC East and the NFC West, 10 games will be tough. We would have to elevate to the next level. I think that is a fantastic point. The schedule is not as easy as it was last year. I've read somewhere that the Eagles are going to have, on paper, the toughest schedule going into the season. Now, again, playing the schedule game is dangerous this time of the year because we don't know who's going to be good and who's not going to be good. We looked at the schedule last year and we said, hey, we got Detroit in week 2. We got to win that game. Detroit ended up being, a dangerous team and just barely missing the playoffs at 9-8. So you just don't know. In Jacksonville, we got them week 1, and I've already said this many times. We were fortunate to get them week 1. Jacksonville won 9 games and made it to the playoffs and won their division. So you think but you have no idea. We thought the Rams were going to be a good team last year. They ended up being one of the worst teams in football a season ago. So you look at your schedule and you're thinking, man, the Rams, that's going to be tough. And the Rams were ass. And if depending on when you got them in the course of the season, you could have gotten some, You could have gotten some the Bryce kid out of UVA or something. You could have got some super trash. Stafford was hurt. They didn't have Baker Mayfield yet, and they were ass-tastic. You just don't know. So you have no idea what the schedule is going to produce and what these teams are going to be when you see them, or if they're going to be any good. You know, we thought the Broncos were going to be this juggernaut last year. They were horrible, right? So you don't know. So we could look at the schedule and say, oh, my God, this is going to be a brutal stretch, and it may not be. So anyway, to your point, though, who doesn't think the AFC West is going to be, the NFC West is going to be, I think it's going to be a solid division. Seattle showed that they're Seattle and they're not going away. I think the Cardinals are going to be one of the worst teams in football. We don't know what the Rams are going to be. They could bounce back or they could be very mediocre again. And everybody thinks the 49ers are going to be good, but we're going to see. We get the 49ers in week 2 and Trey Lance is starting instead of Brock Purdy and Lance stinks it up. You could steal one. You know what I'm saying? You play them week 9 and Brock Purdy's back and he's stroking it. Now you're out of luck. So it just depends on when you get these teams and what they're playing like. So the AFC East is going to be tough. There's no way around that. Even the worst team in that division is the Patriots, and they're going to put up a hell of a fight. And if you're not careful, they'll get you. But the Jets, the Bills, and the Dolphins are all going to be tough outs. And they're all dynamic and explosive offensively. So it's going to be a tough challenge for our defense. Anyway, I just wanted to come and share some of the results with you guys. I want to thank you again for participating in this poll. My choice would be that Sweat or Young hit 11 or more sacks. I think they're due, specifically Montez Sweat. He's been close. Feel like the breakthrough is coming for him in a contract year. And so one of these guys is getting broken off here. And it's going to be the one that has the most productive season. I think that guy's going to be Montez Sweat, personally. But we will see. I'm rooting for both of those guys to have ridiculous seasons where they kill it and make Washington have to make a tough decision. That's what I want. We'll see what happens, though. Ultimately, as somebody put it in the comment section, all of that stuff doesn't matter. I just want to win. And yes, I get that. This exercise isn't meant to force you to pick winning over statistics or vice versa. I'm just throwing out some numbers. But at the end of the day, I think I speak for everyone when I say, to hell with the numbers, we just want to win. I think that's universal. So we don't have that's something that doesn't need to be said. We are all on the same page in that regard. We just want to win football games. So in any event, that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on another installment of the Command Post. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I will see you guys a little bit later on down the line. Tomorrow, schedule is released. Boy, that's going to be a lot of fun. Bart Scott. Can't wait. Until then, you guys have a good one.